According to people close to the Sussex household, tensions inside their Montecito home have reached a level that longtime observers say they have never seen before. This is not about scheduling conflicts, lifestyle preferences, or the usual pressures that come with fame. This is a clash rooted in something far deeper and far more personal: how Prince Harry and Meghan Markle believed their children should grow up, and what role, if any, public life should play in that future. Sources describe the situation as a standoff with no clear exit. Harry and Meghan are said to be locked in opposing views that neither is willing to abandon. On one side is Harry, shaped by a childhood lived under relentless media scrutiny, determined to keep Archie and Lilibet as far away from the spotlight as possible. On the other is Meghan, who reportedly believes that controlled visibility is unavoidable and even beneficial given who they are and the life they are building. This disagreement is not new. Insiders say it has existed quietly for years, surfacing occasionally and then being pushed aside. What has changed is the pressure surrounding it. As the children grow older, as business ventures struggle, and as the Sussex public image evolves, the issue can no longer be ignored. Decisions now have consequences that cannot be undone. Those familiar with the couple say the arguments have become emotionally charged and deeply personal. This is no longer a theoretical debate. It is about real choices, real boundaries, and real fears. One source described it as a collision between trauma and ambition, neither of which can easily yield. Harry's position, according to those close to him, is driven by instinct as much as memory. He grew up in a world where his private moments were public property, where grief was consumed as spectacle, and where personal boundaries barely existed. That experience, sources say, left marks that never fully healed. Becoming a father intensified his resolve to prevent history from repeating itself. Friends say Harry believes privacy is not a luxury, but a necessity. He wants his children to experience ordinary milestones without cameras, headlines, or commentary. He wants them to choose, when they are old enough, whether they want any kind of public life at all. For him, shielding them now is not about control, it is about giving them a freedom he never had. Meghan, however, is described as seeing the situation through a different lens. She is said to believe that total invisibility creates its own problems. According to insiders, her concern is that secrecy fuels obsession, speculation, and intrusion. In her view, carefully managed exposure can normalize the children's presence and reduce the intensity of public curiosity. Those close to Meghan say she does not see herself as exploiting her children, but rather integrating family life into a broader public narrative. She reportedly believes that being open on their own terms gives the family more control, not less. To her, visibility is not inherently harmful, it is a tool that can be shaped and directed. The conflict escalated significantly, sources say, following organizational changes tied to the couple's philanthropic work. Language emphasizing family involvement reportedly reignited long-standing disagreements. For Harry, the idea of family visibility crossed a line he has spent years defending. For Meghan, it represented a natural evolution of their public mission. What makes this divide particularly volatile is that both believe they are acting out of love. Harry's protectiveness comes from fear and lived experience. Meghan's confidence comes from strategy and belief in opportunity. Neither sees themselves as wrong, neither sees the other as malicious, and that makes compromise even harder. Observers note that this is not a typical parenting disagreement where middle ground can be found. Partial exposure still feels like betrayal to Harry. Total privacy feels unrealistic to Meghan. The gap between those positions remains wide, and the cost of choosing one over the other feels enormous. Those familiar with the situation say the discussions have grown more intense as external pressures mount. With fewer successful ventures and increasing scrutiny, the future feels uncertain. In that environment, decisions about the children carry added weight. What was once philosophical is now existential. Several sources describe the atmosphere as strained and emotionally exhausting. Conversations circle back to the same points, unresolved. Each new opportunity reopens the debate. Each delay deepens frustration. Over time, the disagreement has hardened into something resembling a power struggle. Friends of the couple express concern that this issue, more than any other, has the potential to permanently damage the marriage, not because either parent lacks love, but because the visions they hold for their children's lives simply do not align. As this internal conflict intensifies, analysts point to broader context that makes the situation even more combustible. The Sussex brand, once fueled by novelty and royal association, now faces declining influence. Speaking engagements command far less than they once did. Media projects have delivered mixed results. Public interest has shifted. In that environment, every decision carries financial and reputational implications. And that reality has led critics to suggest that the children represent something more than family. They represent potential relevance, fresh narratives, renewed attention, a future audience. Harry, according to sources, is deeply uncomfortable with that idea. He has spoken publicly about the dangers of exposing children to media pressure. Privately, friends say he worries that once boundaries are crossed, they cannot be restored. He fears a slippery slope where visibility becomes expectation and expectation becomes obligation. Meghan's defenders argue that the comparison to other high-profile families matters. Children of public figures appear online regularly, often without apparent harm. They attend events, appear in curated images, and grow up accustomed to public attention. Meghan is said to believe that thoughtful management can make this environment safe. Critics counter that the Sussex situation is fundamentally different. Harry and Meghan left royal life specifically to escape those dynamics. Reintroducing their children into a public framework appears, to some, contradictory. What was once framed as a rejection of exposure now risks becoming an embrace of it. Commentators note that Harry himself has struggled to reconcile principle with practice. He speaks forcefully about privacy while participating in high-profile projects. He condemns intrusion while sharing personal narratives for profit. This inconsistency, they argue, weakens his position within the marriage. Sources suggest that Meghan understands this dynamic well. She is described as pragmatic, forward-looking, and unwilling to retreat from a vision she believes is viable. To her, the future requires adaptation, not withdrawal. The result is a marriage caught between two incompatible instincts, one that pulls inward and one that pushes outward. Neither is inherently wrong, but together they create constant friction. Those familiar with the couple say this tension has reshaped their relationship. Where they once bonded over shared opposition to external forces, now they face conflict within. The sense of unity that once defined them has been replaced by negotiation, compromise, and increasingly resentment. Parenthood has amplified these differences. Before children, disagreements could be reframed as strategic. Now they are emotional, protective, and deeply personal. Each believes the other's choices could harm the very people they are trying to protect. Observers warn that unresolved conflicts of this nature rarely fade on their own. Without a clear resolution, they tend to resurface harder each time. And when the issue involves children, the stakes feel absolute. The irony is not lost on those watching closely. Harry sacrificed much to escape a system he believed endangered his future family. Years later, he finds himself confronting a similar question from within his own home. Whether he can hold firm or whether compromise will be demanded once again remains unclear. What is clear, according to those close to the situation, is that this moment represents a turning point. The choices made now will shape not only the children's lives, but the future of the marriage itself. Two parents, two visions, no easy resolution. And at the center of it all are two children who did not choose fame, conflict, or symbolism, only the family they were born into.